Hello everyone, my name is Laura Rezac and I'm the Associate Rector at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm here today on our third week in Lent to do our Lenten candle devotions. So if you have a candle set, you're welcome to follow along with me, or you're just welcome to be here and to enjoy this time together. So it's the third week in Lent. As we've talked about in a previous video, we are not lighting a candle every week in Lent. We're putting out a candle every week in Lent. So we're starting out with, of our 6 purple candles, we've got 4 lit, and we've got our white candle lit as well. So if you have your devotions, you can follow along with me. And if not, I will read them for everyone. How do we understand God as both perfectly loving and perfectly just? Theologians have been grappling with that question, that duality of perfect love and perfect justice for centuries. One way the ancient Hebrews grappled with this duality was through the story of the flood. They believed that evil had to demand some kind of response from a just and loving God. And so they told the story that one time God had flooded the entire earth as a consequence for widespread, pervasive brokenness, corruption, and sin. And yet, even in this story that we're about to hear, this story that is so wrathful and rightfully disturbing, even in this story, God did not totally destroy the creation. God was also merciful, saving a righteous family, preserving the lineage of creatures on the earth, and promising to never be so harsh again. While God mourns the brokenness of the world, God also loves us and desires a relationship with us, with humanity, and with all of creation. The reading today is from the book of Genesis. The Lord saw that the wickedness of humans was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of human hearts was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that God had made humans on the earth, and it grieved God to his heart. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark. And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded. And rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The flood continued 40 days upon the earth. God blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground. Only Noah was left, and those that were with him on the ark. But God remembered Noah, and God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. So Noah went out. The Lord said, I will never again curse the ground because of humans. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. You know, the story of Noah's Ark is one that I often see on nursery walls and in children's classrooms. It's a favorite subject of our, little play sets, and I understand why, because, there's the animals and it's a great, subject for colorful pictures. It's a lovely scene putting the animals in the ark. But the story itself is a disturbing one. It's one that should bother us. Because again, this is the way the ancient Hebrews were wrestling with this perfect love, perfect justice, duality that they were understanding God to have and to be. And for us, the idea of wiping out most things on the earth is a horrifying one, and it rightly should be. This is often seen as a children's story, and I think it's not a children's story. At the time that this story was becoming part, incorporated into and part of ancient Hebrew religion, other groups in the Near East also had stories of a great flood. And this could potentially have been based on something that happened in that region. We're not sure, but it was a very common story in the surrounding cultures. And what's interesting about the ancient Hebrew version is that it had this theme of justice, right ethical behavior, and the theme of covenant. Not contract, but a covenant, a promise that God makes with humanity and with creation. And as we're going through Lent, where we have this awareness of brokenness and sinfulness in the world, as we meditate on that, let's also remember that we are part of the new covenant, that we are part of a great family of faith that trusts in God's love, that trusts that no matter how dark it may seem, there will be a light that shines in that darkness. Thank you for joining us for this third week of Lenten Candle Devotions. And I'll see you next week.